It is a summer evening on your patio and the buzzing starts. You reach for the can you buy every May. It holds a chemical the military developed during World War II. But a plant growing wild across this continent repels mosquitoes 10 times more effectively. And the research has been public for 20 years. And by the end, you will know what it is, how to grow it, and why nobody told you. I am Harry from Garden Explained, and this is the story of how a $6 billion industry made you forget about a plant that was solving this problem centuries before chemical sprays existed. Think about what happens every June. Drugstores in Chicago, Atlanta, Houston, and Miami all do the same thing. They move the insect repellent to the front of the store, bright yellow cans, green labels promising protection. Families walk in, grab a can or two, and walk out without thinking twice. They have done this every summer for decades. Their parents did it before them. The ritual feels permanent, like mosquitoes and chemical spray have always gone together. But they have not. The active ingredient in most of those cans is a compound called DEET. It was not invented for backyard barbecues. The United States Army, working with the USDA, developed it following their experiences in World War II to protect soldiers from mosquito-borne illnesses in jungle combat zones. The compound they created was powerful. It was also a solvent. It dissolves plastic. It eats through synthetic fabric. It strips the finish off wooden furniture. That is the substance you rub into your forearms before sitting on the porch. DEET enters your bloodstream within 2 hours of skin application. Researchers have detected it in human urine samples. The Environmental Protection Agency classifies it as slightly toxic. It washes off in the shower and enters municipal water systems. Government scientists found DEET in roughly 75% of surface water samples across the United States. The chemical designed for soldiers in the Pacific jungle now flows through watersheds in Ohio, Virginia, and California. We spray it on our children, and then we wash it into the water supply. The option existed before DEET was ever invented. In the early 2000s, a pair of entomologists in the Midwest ran an experiment that should have changed everything. They set up a controlled laboratory apparatus with 2 chambers and released Aedes aegypti mosquitoes into it. This is the species responsible for transmitting dengue fever, Zika virus, and yellow fever. This is not a nuisance mosquito. This is a killer. One chamber was treated with DEET at the standard consumer concentration. The other was treated with a compound extracted from a common plant. A plant you have seen 1,000 times, a plant sold in pet stores, a plant growing in sidewalk cracks and empty lots in virtually every state in the country. The plant is catnip. Yes, the same plant in the cat aisle at PetSmart, the same plant your neighbor grows in a pot that her tabby rolls around in every afternoon. Nepeta cataria, a member of the mint family, available in every garden center for less than the cost of a cup of coffee. The compound is called nepeta-lactone, and when those researchers compared it to DEET, the results were not close. In that laboratory test, it took 1/10 the amount of nepeta-lactone to achieve the same initial repellent effect as DEET. It was 10 times more potent in a controlled environment. The researchers presented these findings at the largest chemistry conference in the United States. Science journalists reported the results. Then something remarkable happened. Nothing, no product launches, no headlines on the evening news, no reformulation by Off or Repel or any major brand. The $6 billion industry that should have cared the most simply continued selling the same cans with the same military solvent inside. The study has been publicly available for more than 20 years. You are only hearing about it now. The plant you bought for $3 to entertain your cat contains a compound that outperforms the most widely sold mosquito repellent on Earth by a factor of 10. And for a long time, major corporations struggled to turn it into a long-lasting commercial product you could buy. The reason is not complicated. It is arithmetic. DEET is manufactured in chemical plants in Jacksonville, Florida, and Greensboro, North Carolina, and industrial facilities across China and India. It requires petroleum derivatives, specialized reactors, quality control laboratories, regulatory filings, branded packaging, national distribution networks, and multi-million-dollar advertising campaigns. Every single step in that chain generates revenue for someone. Every step creates a job. Every step justifies a budget line. Catnip grows in a crack in a sidewalk. You cannot patent a plant that has been growing wild for thousands of years. You cannot build a subscription model around something that self-seeds every autumn and comes back every spring without asking. You cannot charge $23 for a product your customer can grow in a coffee can on a fire escape in Brooklyn. The economics do not work. Not for the manufacturer, not for the retailer, not for the shareholders. They work beautifully for you. They just do not work for anyone trying to sell you something. So the industry did not suppress catnip. It did something more effective. It ignored it. It funded studies on its own compounds. It filled the shelf space at Home Depot and Walmart and Target. The absence of catnip from those shelves is not the result of a secret meeting in a boardroom. It is the result of a system that only amplifies what it can sell. Now let me tell you what nipetalactone actually does to a mosquito, because this is not simply a smell they dislike, this is something much more violent. Most people assume that mosquito repellents work by masking your scent. DET partially functions this way. It interferes with the mosquito's ability to detect the carbon dioxide you exhale, which is the primary signal they use to locate you. It makes you harder to find. But it does not make you painful to approach. Catnip does. Nipetalactone activates a specific receptor in insects called TRPA1. This is an irritant receptor. In humans, this same receptor is what fires when you are exposed to tear gas. It is what makes your eyes burn when you cut a raw onion. It is what makes wasabi feel like it is attacking the inside of your skull. When a mosquito encounters nipetalactone in the air, its TRPA1 receptors fire. The insect experiences something equivalent to flying into a cloud of tear gas. This is not mild discomfort. This is neurological alarm. The mosquito's entire system screams at it to reverse course and leave the area immediately. This is why crushed catnip does not just reduce the number of mosquitoes that land on you, it clears the zone. And the behavioral observation that mosquitoes flee from catnip is not new. Folk herbalists across England, France, and Germany planted catnip near doorways for centuries. Families in rural Appalachia rubbed the leaves on their arms before working in fields. Communities in parts of Iran and Central Asia used plants in the same genus to keep biting insects away from sleeping quarters. They did not know about TRPA1 receptors. They watched what happened and they repeated what worked. The science caught up 300 years later. And mosquitoes are not the only insects that flee from catnip. The same receptor exists in flies, cockroaches, and stable flies that plague livestock. Researchers found that nipetalactone repels certain tick species. Tick populations are expanding across the northeastern United States every year. Lyme disease cases have tripled in 2 decades. And a plant that repels the insect carrying it grows wild in the same forest where people pick up ticks on their ankles every summer. One plant, multiple threats, 0 chemicals. So now you know what the plant is, you know what it does. The only question left is how to turn this into a permanent mosquito repellent supply. That never runs out and never costs you another dollar. Catnip is a perennial herb in the mint family. It grows back every single year without replanting. It is hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9. That covers nearly the entire continental United States from northern Minnesota to southern Texas. It covers most of the United Kingdom, Central Europe, and temperate climates across Asia and Australia. It grows in poor soil, rich soil, clay, sand, and rocky ground that would kill most garden plants in a week. It tolerates drought once established. It tolerates neglect. It tolerates gardeners who forget it exists for 3 months and then suddenly remember they own it. These are not the characteristics of a delicate herb garden specimen. These are the characteristics of a survival plant. If you are starting from seed, sow directly into soil after your last frost date. Catnip seeds need light to germinate. Do not bury them. Press them gently onto the soil surface and mist with water. Germination takes 7 to 14 days. If you do not want to wait, walk into any garden center. You will find catnip seedlings for $2 to $4. Plant the seedling, water it once, walk away. That is the entire process. A single plant produces hundreds of seeds each fall. Those seeds drop to the ground and overwinter in the soil. The following spring, they germinate without your involvement. By year 2, your single plant has become a dozen. By year 3, you have a patch. By year 5, you have a permanent supply that renews itself every season like clockwork. You will never buy another can of repellent. The plant handles everything. For apartment dwellers, a 12-inch pot on a balcony or patio is sufficient. Grow your repellent in the exact location where you need it. Yes, cats will find your catnip. Grow it in hanging baskets or elevated planters they cannot reach. Place wire cages over ground plants during establishment, or simply grow enough that the cats take their share and you still have plenty. Most cats settle into a routine after the first few weeks and the plants recover between visits. Now here is how you turn the living plant into active repellent on your skin. Pick 5 to 8 fresh leaves, crush them between your palms, roll them aggressively between your fingers. You will feel the leaves bruise and go damp. A sharp minty smell will hit you. That is nepetalactone releasing from the broken cell walls of the leaf. Rub the crushed material directly onto your forearms, ankles, neck, and behind your ears. These are the zones mosquitoes target because blood vessels run close to the surface there. You can expect a brief window of solid repellent effect from a single application, but natural oils evaporate quickly, so you will need to reapply every 2 to 3 hours. The compound breaks down faster than synthetic chemicals in sunlight and body heat. That is the trade-off. You reapply with leaves from a plant that will never stop growing instead of reapplying from a can that will eventually run empty. For a more convenient method, steep a large handful of fresh leaves in just boiled water for 15 minutes. Strain, cool, and pour into a spray bottle. This catnip tea spray stores in your refrigerator for about a week. For patio defense, place catnip containers at the 4 corners of your outdoor seating area. When you sit down, crush the top growth on each plant with your hand. This releases a burst of nepetalactone into the surrounding air and creates a vapor perimeter around your table. For stronger effect, crush a bowl full of fresh leaves and place it at table center. You can layer your defense with companion planting. Lemon balm, lavender, and citronella grass each produce their own mild repellent compounds. But understand the hierarchy. The research puts catnip at 10 times DEET. The others operate at a fraction of that. Catnip is your anchor. The others are supporting players. Once your catnip establishes itself around your patio, you will have an annually returning repellent border. Every April, the plants push new growth. By June, they are full and producing nepetalactone again. You did nothing. You bought nothing. The plant remembered its job and showed up. This is the pattern that repeats across every industry that sells you a solution to a problem nature already solved. The omega-3 supplement market generates $4 billion a year selling you fish oil capsules, while a self-seeding plant called Perilla produces the highest omega-3 concentration ever recorded and grows back every spring on its own. The lawn fertilizer industry erased white clover from seed mixes so they could sell you the nitrogen that clover was producing for free. The same structure, the same logic. What cannot be owned cannot be sold. What cannot be sold disappears from public awareness. Catnip has been growing on this continent since European settlers brought it in the 1700s. It escaped their gardens within a generation. It naturalized across every temperate region. It has been here for 300 years, growing in meadows and roadsides and backyard edges, producing nepetalactone every single summer while Americans stood in checkout lines buying cans of DEET. The mosquitoes will come back next summer. They always do. And next May, you will have a choice. You can drive to the store and buy another can with the yellow label and the plastic safety cap and the ingredient list you have never read. You can spray a World War II-era solvent on your arms and your children's arms and tell yourself it is just what people do. Or you can walk to your patio, crush 3 leaves between your fingers, and solve the problem the way it could have been solved 20 years ago. The plant is already there. It has been waiting.